the today's goal. Okay, so here are the goal for today. So this 1, 2, 3, and 4. I hope we achieve that. Okay, so as preliminary video, so let us watch this TikTok videos first, which has something to do with our topic.
When you're spending every day on your own, and here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. When you're spending every day on your own, and here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a when you're spending every day on your own, and here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. When you're spending every day on your own, and here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. When you're spending every day on your own, and here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. When you're spending every day on your own, and here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. When you're spending every day on your own, and here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. When you're spending every day on your own, and here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. When you're spending every day on your own, and here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. When you're spending every day on your own, and here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. When you're spending every day on your own, and here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. When you're spending every day on your own, and here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. When you're spending every day on your own, and here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare.
Okay, so that is a TikTok video of I'm Just a Kid challenge, no? Okay, so now for your activity, so after na nito ng discussion, ha, inuna ko lang. So nasa Genyo naman na to, but you're not going to have your TikTok videos. You're just going to upload photos of yours, to choose 2 of your photos, no? And 1 photo when you were still a child, and 1 is a recent photo of yours. Okay, so again, choose 2 of your photos. Then 1 photo is you were still a child, and 1 recent photo of yours. Okay, and then you are going to answer the following questions. What can you say? What are the obvious changes happened to you? Did you really change? Okay, so all of those questions, nandun na yun sa Genyo account niyo. I have shared this to all of you. No password na yun. Kindly click the take quiz button na lang. Okay, ang gagawin niyo doon is to upload 2 photos of yours. Kaya nga sabi dito, nung bata pa kayo at saka yung recent photo ninyo, and then you're just going to answer the questions. Yung questions din naman nandun na rin sa tanong doon sa quiz type na essay. Okay? So later na yan after the discussion. If aabutin, then you can do it now. If not, then that will serve as your assignment. Okay? So did I make myself clear? Kaya hit the thumbs up button niyo kung naintindihan yan bago tayo mag-proceed. Okay, that's good. So literature. So are you ready? Seems that all of you are ready. First, of course, let us define what literature is. Okay, so etymologically, so literature is derived from the Latin term litera, okay, which means letter from the word itself, no? Litera or litera, which means letter. Okay, so that is the etymological definition of the word literature. Okay, so when we define literature, okay, it is a body of written works, okay, traditionally been applied to those imaginative works of poetry and prose. It is also written works, especially Now, those considered of superior or lasting artistic merit. So that is a literature, a body of written works. Okay, so it can be traditionally applied, no, imaginatively done or not. Okay, so because there is what we call fiction and non-fiction, di ba? When we say fiction, those are the um, product of imaginations. When we say non-fiction, those are true to life experiences of yours. Okay, so Philippine literature daw is a diverse and rich group of works that has evolved side by side with the country's history. Literature had started with fables and legends made by the ancient Filipinos long before the arrival of Spanish influence. Okay, so bago pa lang tayo masakop or before we have colonized with the Spanish, okay, with the Spanish Empire, meron na tayong tinatawag na literature which is the legends, okay, and the fables of ours, no? So yung mga pabula tsaka yung mga alamat. So later on, you're going to find out what are those examples of legends, fables, folk songs, folk tales, etc. Okay? Okay, so now let us define what literature. So sabi daw, literature do expresses feelings or does express feelings. Okay, so literature as well is a product of imagination. It is undying. It is originated from oral traditions. So when we say feelings, according to Brother Azurin, okay, so literature expresses feelings because it expresses the feelings of people to society, to the government, to his surroundings, to his fellow men, as well as to his divine creator. Okay, so as a product of imagination naman, according to Webster, anything that is printed as long as it is related to the ideas and feelings of the people, whether it is true or just a product of one's imagination. So that is what we call literature. Sabi ng Webster, okay, so anything daw na printed, as long as it is related to the ideas as well as feelings of the people, totoo man or hindi, or just a product of imagination that is considered as literature. Sabi naman ng Panitikang Pilipino, literature is undying. Okay, of course. So it expresses the feelings and emotions of people in response to his everyday efforts to live, to be happy in his environment, and after struggles to reach his creator. So yes, literature will never be die. It is undying. It's such as music. Di ba ganun din? So undying yan. So how about you? How will you define literature? Sa inyo naman. Okay, so just a question. So how are you going to define literature in your own words? Sa tingin mo, Humphrey, if you were given the chance to define what literature is, what would it be?
Product of emotion set.
Product of emotions. Okay, very good. So that's a good answer. How about the others? How about you, Rizado? Yes, John? Okay. So how about the others? How about you, Kim? If you will be given the chance, no, to define what literature is, what would it be?
Ano sir, ano yung literature para siyang may connection. Parang may connection siya, parang iisa lang siya sir.
Parang iisa lang. So there is a connection between something, okay? So emotions that a person is feeling and they put it into writing, okay? So that is what we call literature, okay? So all of those things are correct. Okay, so just like the video that you have watched earlier, no, in the I'm just a kid challenge, di ba? So that was a picture from the past when you were still a child, and then the picture of yours, no, recently. So ganun din when it comes to the literature. Okay, so we have the literature from the past, which is from the pre-colonial period up until the recent, which was the contemporary period. Okay, so we will see if there will be changes, okay, happen to the literature. Because of course, with the picture in the I'm Just a Kid challenge, obviously there are changes happen, no, as you grow older. So here in literature, meron din mga pagbabago na nangyari, no, through the periods. So we have the pre-colonial, followed with the Spanish period, American, and then the contemporary period. So let's get to it one by one. So first is the pre-colonial period. So in pre-colonial period, so this is existed before the Spanish occupation, no? Before we have colonized by the colonizers. Okay, so that is what we call pre-colonial period. Okay, so this is oral in nature. So based on traditions and customs of a particular area of the country, dried leaves, bamboo cylinder, and bark of the trees. So sources were usually local native town folks. Okay, so those are the some of the things that you can see, okay, in a pre-colonial period. Okay, so when it comes to the literature naman, meron tayong dalawa, written literature tsaka oral literature. So written literature at that time are the poems. Okay, o yung tinatawag na tanaga. Pero dito yung tinatawag na epigrams, yung tinatawag nating salawikain din. Epigrams or salawikain, poems, or tanaga. So when it comes to oral literature naman, meron ng riddles nun, tubugtong, folk songs, proverb, salawikain. Okay, so those are the main types of literature on that time, at pre-colonial period. Okay, so written and oral literature, but it is oral in nature. Okay, so written literature. First is the poems. Okay, so poems, these are common forms of poetry which has a quatrain or quatrain with 7 syllables, each with the same rhyme at the end of each line. It also expresses insights and lessons in life. So no need for further elaboration of a poem. So you know what poem is, diba? Would you mind to give me an example of a poem? Meron ba kayong mga alam na tula? Would you mind to give an example? Kahit only one example lang, no, of a poem. Would you mind to give an example of poem, Daryl?
Sir, kahit ano.
Yes po, kahit ano lang. No? Anyone then? No, you can give an example of poem. Nakalimutan na. Wala na bang alam ng mga poems? Tula, Tagalog man or English will do. How about The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost? Are you familiar with that? That is one type of poem. Wala bang magbibigay kahit isa?
Sir, kahit anong ano po, yung
Kahit ano?
kahit anong
Poems.
ano lang,
Kahit hindi Filipino muna, sige.
kahit tungkol sa answer.
Yes po, kahit tungkol sa. Wala na bang tandang mga tula, mga poems? Kahit English poems man yan? Just like what I've said earlier, no?
Sir,
The Road
ano
Not
eh.
Taken. Ano?
Gumagawa lang, sir. Ano, pwede yung kahit gawa lang, sir.
Kahit gawa lang, sige lang, basta tula talaga.
Ano yun, sir? Ginawa ko lang po.
Ginawa mo lang eh. Ano title? Hindi, I'm just, sabi dito, asking, no, if, can you give me an example of a poem? A title lang. And then who is the author? Nana. Okay, so again, one example, the best example is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. That is an example of a poem. Next is a folk tales. So when we say folk tales, so deal with the power of nature, personified submission to a deity, Pathala. So when we say folk tales, so ano kaya mga example ng folk tales? Para mga kwentong bayan, no, kumbaga, when it comes to Tagalog. Okay? So ano
Ano
kayang
mga alamat?
Pinaka-popular na example ng folktale when it comes to Philippine folktales, mga kwentong bayan. Ano yung pinakasikat? Merong pinakasikat dyan na folktale.
Aswang.
Aswang? Okay, so it can be myths. No, yung mga aswang na because that is a strange occurrence. So folktales, one of the best example will be si Juan Tamad. Okay, so that is a kwentong bayan. So si Juan Tamad is the best example for a folktale. So let's go to the myths. So myths, okay, are natural to strange occurrence of the earth. Okay, so pag-sabi natin myth, so ano kayang maganda example kay myth? Natural to strange occurrence of the earth. Di ba sa mga myth ng Western, di ba yung mga Diyos nandun? Sina Zeus. How about sa myths ng Philippine? Ano kayang kwento? Natatandaan nyo na best and will be suited, no, as an example of myth. Ano kaya? Sino? Or ano? Anong kwento? Anong myth?
Sir, ano po yung tanong?
Anong example? Can you give me an example of myth or mythology of a Philippines? Mythology of the Philippines. Okay, may maganda examples. Diba sa iba, meron tayong mga Diyos sa Western mythology. Diba, meron sina Zeus, sina Hades. Okay, so maka-Encanto. Okay, very good as well. So meron din tayong mga Diyos, di ba? Pagdating sa ating mga myth o Philippine myth. Di ba, nandiyan yung mga Bathala, no? Si Katuna, sina Bakunawa, okay, sina Lubay-Lubyok. Yes, okay. So there are so many gods and goddesses then when it comes to Philippine mythology. Okay, so many of them. Next is the legends. No? Sa myth pala, pwede rin si malakas at si maganda. So that is mythology. So legends, stories with moral credit to supernatural powers. So legends, in Tagalog, pwede rin alamat. Okay? Diba yung alamat ng pinya, alamat ng bayabas, alamat ni Maria Makiling, okay, so on and so forth. No, all of those legends. Next is the fables. So fables are short stories that cater the children of native Filipinos and usually use animals as characters. Okay, so can you give an example of a fables or pabula in Tagalog?
Alamat na Conejo at
Sir, yung ano, yung
Yung unggoy tsaka yung pagong.
Okay, very good. The Monkey and the Turtle, no, by Dr. Jose Rizal. Okay, so ang unggoy at ang pagong ni Dr. Jose Rizal, ang kuneho at ang pagong. Okay, so all of those are some examples of fables. Ang silanggam at si tipaklong. Okay, so all of those. And then lastly is the epics. Okay, so we have here epics. No, epics are very lengthy narratives that are based on oral traditions. So epic or epico. Okay? So ano kaya pinakasikat na epic when it comes to the Philippines? Di ba? Napag-aralan niyo yan, sigurado yon. Way back in the high school days. Anong epic yun? On the Northern Luzon. No? Anong title nun? No epic na yon. Hindi natanda. Yung title ng epic na yan is Biyag ni Lamang. Okay, so yung Biyag ni Lamang. Meron din tayo Labaw Donggon sa South Luzon. Diba? Sa ibang bansa naman, meron tayong Beowulf of England. Meron din tayong Mahabharata ng India, which is the longest epic. Okay? And then the Ramayana. Okay? So, ganon. Those are some examples of epics. So, those are written literature. Next is let's go to the oral literature. So these are examples of oral literature or types of oral literature. First and foremost is the riddle, okay, or riddles. So what riddle in Tagalog is? Ano yung riddles?
Bugtong, sir.
Okay, very good. So that is bugtong. So when we say bugtong or riddles, these are effective ways to inculcate the ability of logical thinking of a child. Okay, so that is a riddle. So example, isang balong malalim, punong-puno ng patalim. Anong sagot doon? With that bugtong.
Bibigat. Bibigat.
Okay, so very good. That is bibig. Isang balong malalim, punong-puno ng patalim. Another one, dalawang batong maitim, malayo ang dinarating.
Mata.
Okay, so very good. That is mata. Next, limang puno ng nyog, isa'y matayog. Yan, limang puno ng nyog, isa'y matayog. Anyone who can guess? Ano kaya yung bugtong na yun? Limang puno ng nyog, isa'y matayog. That is?
Daliri, sir.
Okay, very good. Daliri or fingers, no? Isa'y matayog. Ito naman, lumuluha walang mata, lumalakad walang paa.
Kandila. Ay, hindi pa.
Kandila ba? Ano yun? Lumuluha walang mata, lumalakad walang paa.
Ganito.
Ano again? Ano yung lumuluha walang mata, lumalakad walang paa? That is a ball pen. Okay, so ball pen yun, lumuluha walang mata, lumalakad walang paa. Okay, so lastly, ang bintana ay 7, na isasara lamang ay 3. That is, anong sagot doon? Ang bintana ay 7, na isasara lamang ay 3. Ano yun? Bintana ay 7, na isasara lamang ay 3. Ang tawag doon? Ano yun? Yun ay mukha. Okay, so we have 7 windows here. 1 is the mouth, 2 tenga, 3, 2 mata, 5, 2 butas ng ilong, 7. Pero 3 lang ang nasasara. Okay? So, ang mata at saka ang bibig. So, that is riddles, no? Or mga bugtong. So many riddles pa at saka bugtong rather, no? So, folk songs naman ang sunod. So, folk songs, these are chanted, of course, kasi nga kanta siya, songs, bounded by the learning of good morals, no? Straightforward and not figurative. Okay? So, that is a folk song. So, ano yung alam niyo na folk song? Meron ba kayo mga alam na
Bahay
folk
kubo
song?
po.
Again?
Bahay kubo.
Bahay Kubo, okay, so very good. So that is a folk song as well, Bahay Kubo. And also, yung kanta ng Ang Pipit. Are you familiar with Ang Pipit?
Hindi po.
Hindi po
Okay, so
masyado, sir.
this is an example of a folk song. So Ang Pipit, I'm sure narinig na rito kahit paano. So let's take a look at this.
Nangyari ng nahulog, di parang ikaw lumikas. Ang puso mo'y ginagnahaw, pag pumalaw ang buhay ko, may isang pilit na iiyak. Lalala, 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 lalala. Sa pipit sa sanga ng isang karol. No, Ange.
So that is an example of a folk song, no? So ang pipit. Okay? So wait lang. Okay, so that is ang pipit, which is an example of a folk song. So now let's go to a proverbs. So proverbs in Tagalog, what is proverbs in Tagalog? It is
Salawikain.
okay, salawikain. So sabing proverbs, it reflects the hidden meaning through the good lines. It provides good values, of course. So ano yung mga example ng salawikain? Hanggat makitid ang kumot, matutong mamaluktot. Pag may tiyaga, may nilaga. Mga cliche na yan. Pagkahaba-haba man daw ng
Iba yun.
posisyon, magbe-break din kayo. Ay, hindi. Pagkahaba-haba man daw ng posisyon, sa simbahan din ang Pinoy. So, all of those are proverbs sa lawikain. Akala ko na bago na eh. Pagkahaba-haba ba ng posisyon, magbe-break din kayo. So, can you give an example sa lawikain aside from those? Sino pang may alam na proverbs sa lawikain? Wala na?
Pag, and then, sir, yung pag may tiyaga, may nilaga.
Oo, pag may tiyaga, may nilaga. So, yun yung mga yun. Okay, so pag may tinanim, may aanihin. Diba? So, yun yung mga example ng ating salawikain. So, that is Proverbs. So, when we say lalabays naman, so lalabays are locally known as hele. Okay, so sung to put babies in asleep. Okay, so yung mga lalabays natin, yung example niya is hele, sa ugoy ng duyan. Okay, so ano pa ba yan? So, tingnan natin yung example ba kung sa ugoy ng duyan. About this one. So, wait lang. No? Bakit tayo? Presenters. Wait lang, no? So, mayroon nagkakaroon lang ng problem. Okay, so sige, panoorin niyo nga muna dito. So this is an example of a lalabay. Din. Alam ko naman familiar na kayo dito, no? Sa ugoy ng duyan, di ba? May
Di magmaliw ang dati kong araw nang munti pang bata sa piling ni nanay. Ulit ang ng mahal, awit ng pag-ibig habang ako'y nasa duyan.
Alright, so you get the idea. So that is a lullaby. That's ugoy ng duyan, hele. So marami pang ibang example ng sa ugoy. Example ng lullaby. Next is drinking songs. So drinking songs. So ano yung drinking songs? Locally known as tagay. Okay, sung during drinking sessions, of course. Those songs that is sung during drinking session. So ano yung example nun? Ito. Alam niyo yan, no? Anong title nun?
Lak-lak.
Okay, so very good. So that is Lak-Lak, no? That is an example of a drinking song. So how about a love song? So alam niyo na yun, love song also known as harana. Okay, so can also be called as courtship songs, no? So those are love songs. So what is an example of an OPM love song? So, syempre, eto, alam niyo rin to. Tunog pa lang, alam niyo na yun. Anong title? Hindi na alam? Anong title niyan?
Sa pagpatak ng bawat oras
Ikaw.
Okay.
ikaw.
So that is Ikaw by Yang Constantino. So that is a love song as well. So religious song naman, of course, no? So songs that's related to being religious. Okay, so songs are chants usually given during exorcisms or Thanksgiving. So one example is this one. Sino nakakaalam nito?
Lead me, Lord. Lead me by the hand and make me face the rising
Sinabi na yung
sun.
title na at the first part.
Comfort me through all the pain.
Lead me, Lord.
Okay.
May pray.
So that is Lead Me Lord, no? So yung kanta na to is, yung boses is kay Elsa Seguera, no? But there are other singers, no, who sang the song. Lead Me Lord, Gary Valenciano, Basil Valdez. Okay, but this one is kay Elsa Seguera rather. And then Songs of Death. Songs of Death are lamentations that contains the role of good deeds that the dead was usually done to immortalize good good image. Okay, so one example, best example na ginagamit talaga when it comes to Songs of Death, syempre, ang walang kamatayang ito. Diba? Ano title niyan? Hindi alam. Ano title niyan?
Ikaw ang aking tanging yaman.
Oh, alam niyo na. So that is Tanging Yaman, no? So naririnig natin yan lagi kapag mayroong funeral. Okay, so kapag ihahatid na sa huling hantungan, yung isang double cadaver. Okay, so yun yung Tanging Yaman. Okay, so those are some of the songs, okay, which is drinking songs, love songs, religious songs, then songs of death. Lullaby is death. Okay, folk songs. Okay, so all of those are what we call oral literature. Okay, so yun yung tinatawag nating oral literature. Okay, so next. Kapag nag-end yung Zoom meeting, no need for you to rejoin na. Continue na lang natin sa next meeting natin, no? So, tapos na tayo sa pre-colonial period. Now, let's go to the Spanish period. Okay, so after noon, syempre we have been colonized na by the Spanish or by the Spaniards.